All right, so I do it, you do it, our professor does it. We do it every single day. Some of us even do it during class. I'm talking about trash. Okay? We throw away things every day, sometimes, usually multiple times throughout the day. My claim today is that recycling is really beneficial for us economically and environmentally. So I want to talk about a few things, and the way I want to talk about recycling is by dispelling a few myths. One, I want to talk about a myth: recycling is too difficult. Another myth that's out there is that recycling is bad for the environment because it uses up more energy than it saves. And then a third myth that I want to talk about is that we have plenty of landfill space. So I used to live with my mom, and I don't live with her anymore, but she often goes to the Philippines. We're Filipino, so she goes back home and she goes on missions and she helps the poor. She told me the story and she brought back these pictures that kind of just shook me up. There are these landfills in the Philippines. There are mountains of trash, like cities full of trash. And they have scavengers that not only look through the trash, but there are children, there are people that live in the trash. They're like football fields covered with them. They're piled stories high. And what the children do is they'll sift through the garbage and they'll look for either electronic parts to sell, or they'll look for things that they can recycle and use for money. And when she showed me these pictures, it kind of reminded me of the fact that when you throw something away, you know, we'll put something in the trash can, we'll put something in a bin, and we just forget about it. It's gone. But it doesn't really disappear, it just goes away. It goes to a specific place. Now, in landfills, we have the option to either incinerate things and use that as energy, but we're running out of space. And so I want to talk about how recycling can really help reduce the effects of that. So one myth is that recycling is too difficult. I think this is ridiculous. It takes about as much effort to put something in a recycling bin than it does to put something in a trash can. Especially nowadays, there are a lot of places that are putting the two right next to each other, right? It's like a few inches away, so it's not really that big of a deal. Also, a lot of communities offer recycling bins, and they have free curbside pickup. Now, yeah, there could be a few more steps to recycling. You have to sort the recycling. Really difficult. There's paper, plastic, glass. Also, any child can see if glass is clear or if it's tinted or not, right? And then you say, oh, it's just too much, you know, I have recycling bins, I don't know which one to put it in. It's easy enough to also take out a Sharpie and write glass, write plastic, and there you go, it's just another bin to put your things in. Another step that people are kind of annoyed with, sometimes you have to rinse out your containers. I think that's kind of a good habit to get into anyway. You don't have to do like a full scrub cleaning and make it shiny brand new. But even if you weren't going to throw that in the recyclable, if you were to put that in the trash, then your trash would smell less. So it's just another good habit, and then you're not having to constantly take out the trash because of this foul stench in your house. So another thing is that a lot of communities have these brochures for free, and they can give them to you when you move in, or you can just call the city hall and they'll send it to your house. And it gives you a list of all the things that you can recycle, and especially the plastic. We don't realize how many goods are recyclable. For example, I used to live in Diamond Bar, and they told me that every recyclable from 1 through 7 they take. So that includes like packaging from razors that I buy, that includes Starbucks cups. It's not just aluminum cans nowadays. There are a lot of plastic materials. That even includes plastic shopping bags. I've seen that at supermarkets where you can turn in your shopping bags. You know, they have those programs where if you bring reusable bags, you get some discounts off your groceries. You don't have to just, if you don't want to make that extra trip or you don't buy a bunch of groceries, you can actually you can dispose of your recycling bags in the recycling bin. So I think that recycling is really not that difficult at all. Another myth is that recycling is bad for the environment because it uses more energy than it saves. Now, it's true that there is energy. There's the processing of the energy, there's the shipping to recycling plants, there's the water, rinsing, that kind of stuff, the gas that it takes to ship recycling to. But even with all of these things that do impact the environment, it still outweighs the energy saved from incineration and landfills. Landfills are one of the oldest, the oldest methods of disposal. People, since time began, have been throwing things on the ground. And then all of a sudden, you would start, people would put all of their trash in one place, and then landfills were created. Now, landfills are becoming more and more expensive, and they're charging more money. You have to use gas to now ship our trash to other landfills. So when you put that into consideration, the energy from recycling there's more energy created from recycling than there is from incineration and the things that go on in landfills. The third myth that I wanted to talk about is that we have plenty of landfill space. I've seen this in a lot of websites, and people say there's so much land out there that we can just dig more landfill space. And true, there is. If you compare the percentage of developed land to undeveloped land, it's a really, really small percentage, but they're not taking a lot of factors into consideration. When you create landfills, usually the undeveloped space is either protected wildlife sanctuaries or people are already living there. So if you put a landfill close to it, you're going to be decreasing property values, and we already don't need any of that right now in this economy. And then the third thing is, farmland. There are vast amounts of space in our country that aren't being used, and that's because they're being used as farmland. So yes, technically there is space that is not a landfill, but it is being used for other things. So, and as far as space, I've kind of a reoccurring theme that I've been talking about is Japan. I always go back to that. The tsunami, everyone has heard about the devastation, people dying, people missing. It's a really big tragedy. Another problem that maybe hasn't been discussed is the trash. All along the coastline, cities have been turned into landfills from things that have been washed up. Some people can't even move their cars. And Japan, because it's a small island, and it's so populated, so heavily populated, their landfills are already filled to capacity. So what they have to do now, they can only burn so much and bury so much. They have to ship their trash to other countries to help alleviate that. Now what about us? There are many of our landfills that are closing these days. And already, like there's the landfill in Pomona right now, they accept 100 tons of trash every single day. They're at capacity, they have to send stuff out. In Orange County, we have a problem where we can't hold our own trash, we have to send it out. So if a disaster like what happened in Japan were to happen in California, we would have this huge trash problem on our hands. So my claim today is that if we all do our part and we recycle, that it's not only going to help the environment, but it's going to help us economically. So the next time you're done with that soda can or that water bottle or that Starbucks cup, just think about using just a little more effort to put it in a recycling bin instead of a trash bin. Thank you.
So Chris, what did you think?
I really liked the speech. It had a lot of good reasons for the topic. Everything seemed relevant to itself. The one issue that I found was that it didn't have really any kind of source citation for anything, or it didn't have any like hard factual data to back things up. I did, however, think that the voice projection was good and that she seemed very confident in the entirety of the speech. There wasn't any nervous twitches that I saw, so it was overall a very good speech.
All right. Yeah, Nicole, you've never